Now, speaking of social media, according to the Wall Street Journal, Facebook is close to an agreement with the Federal Trade Commission regarding privacy settings and their use of our personal information on the social network. The settlement would require Facebook to gain approval from each user before making changes that they have not already agreed to. And Facebook will have to agree to have their privacy practices audited by the FTC for the next 20 years. Who knows where social networking is going to be in 20 years. So is the FTC agreement, is it good for social networking, Sophia?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that you enter any information in a computer and think that it's going to be private. Like, I don't feel safe doing any of that stuff, so I think that it's important to be prepared for that stuff.
Was it assuming that
everything is not, like, anyone can hack you. Like, I don't even know how to, like, get into my own website sometimes. Like, I know that it's possible.
I mean, anyone can hack you.
Yeah.
I mean, well, what do you think about this FTC agreement? Does that make you more fearful of how we're approaching social networking, or possibly it's a positive thing where that's headed?
I'm actually happy about it, because Facebook, whenever they would change the privacy settings, A, they would never inform users, and then secondly, they would just go to the least private, the default version was the least private version that they had that you could select. So, but the one that, I mean, like, I provide on Facebook a factional version of my life. I think anyone that tries to sort of throw out anything and the real truth, I think, is an idiot. And you're provided an opportunity to sort of recreate yourself there. I mean, so I don't know. I think just do what I do and lie. And it's so much more fun.
That's what it's like when you meet you on a first date. You're like, who is this person?
Absolutely. So I think people are getting mad about, you provided the information, you filled out a field, and what you were saying.
But should it be like iTunes, where every time it's like, oh, there's an update?
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the whole expectation of privacy on social networks. There hasn't been that much Twitter conversation about it. People have mainly just been posting the link to this whole FTC story. Yeah. But there's been a lot of Google conversation about it, and Kevin Chambers commented, I don't trust a company that has to have the government step in to enforce ethical behavior. So after the settlement actually comes through, we'll see what happens to the Facebook population.
Well, they've stepped in for other companies, like Google also has a 20-year audit now on them, and Twitter has a 10-year audit. So this isn't necessarily rare. Does that worry you that the government is stepping in?
It's hard to complain when these are free services. I mean, Twitter is free, Facebook is free. If we ever paid for those, we'd have reason to complain. So it doesn't bother me. I'm actually kind of, well, I'm happy about it. It's weird. I'm happy about this government interference.
Is there a reasonable expectation for privacy on these social networks?
I think not at all. I mean, I think there's a certain respect level that you should give your consumer, but I don't think that you need to have privacy on them.
Wow, that changes the whole outlook of where we see Facebook, because it started private, but as we know, there's pages, it's becoming a search engine, who knows where it's headed. And as of now, the settlement with Facebook only awaits final approval from the Federal Trade Commission, but it is still unclear as to when Facebook would have to implement the settlement across its 800 million users.